got a friend in the jewelry business.
Come and knock on the door. We've been waiting for you.
Jason, did you do that on purpose, or was this totally arbitrary? I didn't know. You know,
Come and dance on
the other day when you went and checked on your vehicle with the rain, with the windows, it was a Friday, and you had some tune that had like a whistle blowing in it for like a 5 o'clock whistle. I'm thinking, what could that be? Flintstones. You had Flintstones at 5 o'clock for a 5 o'clock whistle. That was perfecto. Especially since you were outside, I was saying rolling up. Are there any windows that roll up? Are there any windows? Does anyone drive a vehicle? I think that's good for 50 big bucks at the Woodhouse. If someone can call me and tell me they have a vehicle with crank up windows where you actually crank up the window. I'm going to have to put that down on the sheet. Crank up windows. I bet you, Jason, there's some low-end vehicle. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Like the bottom of the line, the base model vehicle. Maybe like, I don't know, that new Ford Ranger truck based off the Bronco, the very bottom of the line. Crank windows, maybe not. Like a Tercel kind of car. Tercel, Corey, they haven't made one of those since 06. Crank up windows. No, very appropriate. Three's Company. Suzzane Somers passing away at 76. For anyone that's like, 20 years younger than her, on up, I'm mid 50s. So let's say 45 on up, 50 on up, definitely kind of a, sex symbol growing up, kind of, dingy blonde comedian type. But from what I understand, just a wonderful, giving person that was beloved. And I don't know, you make fame and fortune, both of those, it can turn a lot of people into total jerks. It's like they're borderline jerks to begin with, and maybe their lot in life keeps them humble. But boy, a little money and fame, and the fuse is lit. Apparently not for Suzzane Somers, kind of staying humble her whole life. Anyway, passing away at 76, breast cancer, which she supposedly has been fighting for like 40 years, on and off 40 years of breast cancer. Hey, it is a Monday afternoon. Yeah, you right. Corey Johnson back at you. Got a good one lined up for you. Robert Mann, I was going to say LSU journalism professor, now former LSU journalism professor. That news caused quite a stir on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. You don't have to say formerly known as Twitter anymore. Just say X. Just say X. Every news article I read, they're slowly fading out of the, in parentheses, formerly known as Twitter. Bob Mann's resignation causing quite the stir, positive and negative, cynical and jaded, sad and bummed out. His news of leaving LSU. We'll visit with Bob Mann, former LSU journalism professor, in about 10 minutes on the program. Bob Mann on the neutral ground. Find out what's going on with him in Baton Rouge and why he's calling it a day. Sometimes I'm just like I said, mid-50s going on 40 is kind of how I feel. I don't even think about retirement. But I have older friends. I've got some buddies I play golf with. They're about 10 years older than me. 10, 12 years older than me. When I first started playing golf with this crew about a decade ago, they all worked, every single one of them. And now every single one of them is retired. My dad used to tell me, son, you go to weddings and I go to funerals. No, as you get older, obviously things change. And a lot of I don't want to say peers or contemporaries, but the next generation older, 10, 12, 15, 18 years older than me, they're retired or are retiring. And then I look at Bob Mann and I don't know, I'm 57. I'm guessing Bob Mann's like 60. I'm going to guess a little older than me. I know, looks a lot older than me. I look good. I know, I look like a young kid. I get it. That's what the ladies say. Anyway, and they say I act like one, and then they run like Jesse Owens in the opposite direction. They run like Jesse Owens. Was that some trans Freudian slip there, Jason? Not only trans, but biracial. Anyway, Bob Mann's going to join us, former LSU professor, in a few minutes. Find out what's going on up there. Another Martel Monday. I like getting Brett Martel on the program. He's been with the Associated Press for over 25 years. There'll be no runoff for governor. Jeff Landry pulling 52% of the vote. That gives Louisiana a 52% chance of continuing to stay where they are. About a 48% chance of staying where they are or going backwards. Anyway, Louisiana's done it again. I said about 2 years ago on this very program, if LaToya Cantrell gets reelected to a second term, if Jeff Landry becomes governor of Louisiana, I'm shutting it down, ending the radio and television program, packing up my bags, and leaving the state. Don't move to Metairie or move to the North Shore or move to Baton Rouge or the Mississippi Gulf Coast or something. You leave the area if you're leaving. If you're sick of New Orleans, sick of Louisiana, you get out of Dodge and go, a pretty good distance away, right? Now, I am not somebody to go back on my word. And although I would not embrace having to leave, I would have left by choice a long time ago. This sort of would just be like, Corey, it's still your choice, but my God, how many things need to happen for you to finally go and call it a day? It's been broken and dysfunctional for 40 years. The folks that are running it, Democrat and Republican, have no idea what they're doing and think they do, typical New Orleans and Louisiana fashion. This is going to continue for a while, for the rest of your life. Never going to catch up to Austin or Nashville or Atlanta, Houston, Dallas economically. Never. Never going to have Fortune 500 companies and major manufacturing facilities and the like moving here. Never. Not in my lifetime. And I am not making excuses. I'm just telling you reality, how it is. I would not make something up or lie. First off, I am a radio and television guy. I'm fortunate. For whatever it's worth, I'm just going to tell you how it is. I probably financially do better than 90% of people in television, radio in this market, in this state, in the South. Probably better than 90% of the people that choose to be in the business I'm in. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate. Lots of advertisers, lots of clients, part of the program. They have success because you go to these advertisers and clients because of this program. So the wheel just keeps spinning. It has for decades. I'm fortunate. I acknowledge it. I work hard, but I'm fortunate too. You have to have everything in place. So I do pretty well. Now, that's compared to everybody else in this business. Compared to people that do well financially, like, boy, so-and-so does well financially. I don't think people would say Corey does poorly financially, but I think folks would not be like, boy, Corey's one of that 1-5 percentile out there just killing it, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe he might have made $1 million last year. And I'm nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. So I do pretty well, but I'm not rich or wealthy by any means. Therefore, the little bit of money that I ever do get my hands on, for whatever reason, a good year, save money, worked a deal with a buddy, buying a house or property and fixing it up and flipping it and making a little money. I've had mostly success doing that about a half dozen times, and I've had some failure where I've lost money, lots of money doing that. So any little bit of money I might have, sometimes something pops up, another property to reinvest in. I have invested locally in a business that does not even exist yet. It is about to exist. And for me, it's significant money. For most folks, it'd be like, Corey, that's not that amount of money. It's not $2,000 or $3,000, and it's not like $100,000, but it's significant money. And it's not an excuse. I can't leave while this investment is there. And if this investment goes, I won't be leaving. But if this thing doesn't go, I will be beelining out and follow through on my promise. But not an excuse, just reality. I got money on the line. Coming right back with Bob Mann. Don't move.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store, and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, "Hey, what can I do to give you a hand?" And he said, "Well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place." So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
River Cities Total Maintenance keeps you cool, New Orleans. NOLAAC.com is your cool spot.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
The French bread of the city of New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
Corey Johnson back at you on a Monday afternoon. A great weather day. I mean, I don't know how you do any better than this morning especially. Absolutely perfect. In New Orleans, it was about 61 degrees. Blue sky, like not a cloud in the sky. Little breeze blowing. Just as good a weather as humanly possible on this planet today. And it's going to continue lots of 50s, 60s, and 70s all week long. We'll probably creep back up to 80 by the weekend, but lower humidity. So just really great weather. Thank goodness, huh? In the not thank goodness category, the typical Louisiana politics category. We can't see what we do, and we continue to barrel down the wrong path. I don't know when the crossroads happened. It could have been under French or Spanish rule. I have no idea. But we chose the wrong path. And especially during my adult lifetime, I'm born in 66. So early 80s, right as I'm becoming an adult, turning 18, the bottom essentially falls out of the oil industry. I remember going to Baton Rouge, LSU, 1985 as a freshman. And going downtown. I didn't know the LSU downtown. All I knew was everything was boarded up and gone. So I didn't know what it was like before. I just saw what it was like when I was there. Saw that kind of stuff going on in New Orleans. So buildings deteriorating on campus and the like. This has been like a 40-year run. So instead of changing direction, we just double down again. Louisiana has a new governor cut out of the Edwin Edwards, John Alario cloth. What's in it for me? The needs of the few outweighing the needs of the many. Jeff Landry winning 52% of the vote. There's already some fallout from this. Robert Mann, former LSU journalism professor, tenured professor, former LSU professor Bob Mann joins us on the neutral ground. How you doing, Bob?
I'm good, Carrie. I'm not former yet, so it's just I'm still a professor here at the Manship School till the end of the school year in the spring of next year.
Oh, okay. You put in your resignation letter for a future date?
I announced that I'm retiring from LSU. That's my. I'm not going to retire in the middle of a school year and leave my students hanging.
That's a good point. I never even thought about that, Bob. Wasn't even thinking about that. Boy, what a response on Twitter. Good, bad, and ugly, huh?
Well, it was. I don't think that I've ever put anything out there that got more of a response, been seen by more people and covered more widely than this. I think it just resonates because so many people just at a fundamental level understand that this is a sea change in Louisiana, that the lights are about to go out in a lot of ways. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to make my decision the other night and announce it the next morning. Is I wanted to hopefully shake up the people who run my university to find some courage to start defending the faculty in a more outspoken and aggressive way, because I think there are a lot of people on this campus who need to hear some words of assurance that the leadership of this university has their back, and they've yet to hear that from anybody running this university. And I suppose they won't, because the people who run LSU are just terrified of incurring the new governor's wrath.
Bob, I'm a independent. You're a Democrat, pretty liberal. We see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And I guess there are a few things that it's not like we're diametrically opposed, that maybe you probably don't agree with what I think, or I don't agree with what you think. I think a lot of things we do, especially the common sense basic stuff, caring about LSU, academics, all this stuff. both of us, I think, would rather get a tooth extracted with no painkiller than have Jeff Landry as governor. As a liberal Democrat, weren't there worthy Republican candidates available that Republicans could have voted for, where that governor would vote and do exactly as those Republican constituents wanted? Instead, this deviant, this Jeff Landry guy was their choice. Am I right or wrong on that?
Well, I think you're right and wrong. I mean, I think there were, I think to me it was a matter of picking your poison. I think none of them were going to advance the state in the direction that I think you and I think it ought to go in. And I think, Landry is going to be probably better than somebody like Stephen Wagasback in some areas, and Wagasback would have been far worse than him and others. I mean, they would have all done things differently. But if you're into culture war, if you're into distracting culture war that does absolutely nothing to advance the state economically, and in fact turns us into a pariah state like Florida has become, then Landry's the guy that you'll find a lot of comfort in.
No, that's what it appears to be. It's sort of we didn't write the rule book on this, but we sure run with it. Extreme Democrats and extreme Republicans love pointing the finger at the other side, Bob. They're the problem. They're your problem. You need to vote for me because of them. They're the enemy. They have nothing to offer. They're racist. I mean, I can go on this, and it's nothing about, oh, hey, by the way, here are the problems that ail our state, and here's how we fix them.
Yeah, I would suggest that one of the biggest issues that we have facing, I mean, it's the threat to our very existence in South Louisiana and the rest of the state, because South Louisiana is so much the economic driver of this state in so many ways, or at least the foundation of our economy. And is this insurance crisis, this looming insurance crisis, and it was almost completely ignored on the campaign trail. It was, when it was discussed, it was an afterthought. No one really, that I can tell, offered any kind of comprehensive solutions to this. And instead, we were talking about a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter that much to the everyday lives of most people in this state. That, to me, was the biggest, beyond Landry's election, that was the biggest failure of this election, was that he becomes governor with no mandate to do really anything to fix the biggest problem we have facing our state. It's an existential problem that we're one hurricane away from perhaps losing an entire economy of a city. And did you hear anybody talk about that in any kind of constructive way with any depth? I didn't, and I don't think anybody did, because it just was not part of the discussion.
No, it wasn't. And you're right. It is the number one problem, or number one thing Louisiana has to deal with, that is right in front of us. That was never mentioned, and neither was coastal erosion. Never.
Right.
Never, not one time, which continues to be our long-term problem. And those are both interrelated. They're both connected, and they were not brought up in the least bit. That ain't how you get elected in Louisiana, Bob. You know that. Coming up with the legitimate problems and having solutions. It worked for Buddy Roemer. He came out of nowhere, and he did that in 87, and that's the only time it worked. And then that poor guy switches from Democrat to Republican in office, and the local Republicans nominate this kind of extreme evangelical type, Clyde Holloway from Baton Rouge. He gets like 6-7% of the vote, just enough to where we get the David Dork, Edwin Edwards runoff, and Buddy Roemer gets ousted. Roemer wanted to do for Louisiana what North Carolina did for North Carolina. Louisiana would be more like North Carolina today. New Orleans would be more like Charlotte. I'm talking about education, infrastructure, economy.
Yep.
If those things would have been implemented.
Yep, that's right. Well, we don't excel in a lot of things beyond football and festivals, but we do excel in missing opportunities, and I think we've done that again in this election.
That's something that you and I mean, we could march arm in arm on this. You and I might be the most vocal people that I can think of when I think of someone that's as passionate about LSU's lack of education, dedication, dedication, education. The only other person I think of is you. I don't know of too many other people that complain. I love that LSU has a new locker room. I love that LSU has great sports facilities. Probably overall the best in the country. Why can't physics be like football, Bob?
Well, and I think that what little investment LSU is making on the academic side, what troubles me too is that it's going all to STEM, and STEM is the hot thing, and everybody. And I'm not denigrating what the sciences do. It's really important. But if you care about a comprehensive, broad university that really serves the entire state, and you care about LSU, you ought to be really concerned about President Tate's complete disparagement, I think, of the humanities. He's got a Pentagon plan, a scholarship burst plan that doesn't even mention the humanities. They're chasing STEM dollars almost exclusively to the exclusion of a lot of really important work that I think is long term is really undermining the future of this university and is really dispiriting to a lot of people who are doing really good work in the humanities, which is critical not only to a functioning society but to a well-rounded university.
Sadly, I had President Tate on this program for about 40 minutes, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. And besides, it was sad. I mean, a lot of assumptions, assuming about me, has no idea what he was talking about. Incorrect on things that he was claiming that were fact-based. And then literally was kind of dogging professors in the journalism department in particular. We're visiting with Robert Mann. Don't move, New Orleans.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
For over 20 years, serving healthy, fresh, authentic Middle Eastern cuisine, Lebanon's Cafe. In the Carrollton section of Uptown on the streetcar line, Wednesday through Monday, 11 a.m. to 9:30. Lebanon's Cafe.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
LSU journalism professor, Manship School of Journalism, LSU campus, Baton Rouge, tenured professor. Bob Mann is with us on the program. He has sent in, what, Bob, you sent a letter to your dean, a resignation letter that you'll be done at the end of the semester?
No, at the end of the school year. So yeah, I emailed her yesterday morning and told her that I would be I'd be leaving LSU at the end of
summer,
of the school year in the spring.
Yeah, whatever, May of 2024. Yep. Gotcha.
That's right.
So you'll finish up this semester and you'll teach one more semester.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I already, and that's for a number of reasons, but I have students who are registered for my classes already next semester. So it's, I think it's important to finish the school year.
Why are you leaving LSU? Is it because of future Governor Landry being elected, coupled with LSU President Tate not backing you?
Yeah, I have been thinking I've been thinking about that this would be something I might need to do since Landry came after me in December of 2021 and asked LSU to fire me because he didn't like my tweets criticizing his COVID vaccine lies.
No. Say that again. This is so important where folks, the 52% that voted for Jeff Landry do not care about this 1 minute. If it were to affect their lives directly, because many of them lack empathy, they would care about it 150%. Repeat what you just said, because it is mind-blowing. And this is the kind of stuff that a lot of people in America don't get the strength of America. It's being able to see both sides. It's being able to have, someone's message that you don't agree with, freedom of speech allowing to have that message. And this is a tenured professor on an American university campus. I apologize, Bob. Please repeat what you just said. It's mind-blowing.
No, to give a little more detail, Jeff Landry sent an aide, an assistant, to read a letter that he wrote to the faculty senate in December of 2021, basically attacking us and criticizing us for having the temerity to suggest that LSU ought to require that students and faculty and staff be vaccinated for COVID. This was in the midst of a worldwide pandemic, and we had a life-saving vaccine, and Landry was too busy buddying up with the likes of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other people who were lying about the efficacy and the safety of the vaccine. And I called him out on it. I just said, this is the guy who claims to be pro-life, and he's going around undermining confidence in a life-saving vaccine. And in response to that, he called the president of the university and then followed up with a letter demanding that I be punished, reprimanded. To me, the implication was that I needed to be dealt with and fired. But when he did that, I realized that if a presumptive, and he was clearly going, he was clearly planning everybody knew he was planning to be a governor's candidate. So if a presumptive governor could demand that LSU punish me for a tweet, I just began to wonder what punishment an actual governor might impose on me, or more importantly, really my department, or the journalism, the manship school. And I just was not willing to be the reason that LSU or my unit suffers. My tenure, I think, protects me, but
of course,
my unit gets funding from LSU, gets funding from the state, and it would be really easy for the governor to force the president or the board of supervisors to cut that funding in punishment and for keeping me on, or for not silencing me, or whatever. So it just seemed to be better to remove myself from the equation and hopefully save my school from some suffering.
No, in their mind, the things they like are in color. The things they don't like are in black and white. And that Manship School of Journalism would be in black and white, and it would just say MANN across the front of it in red. So that would be just like, ignore that. Move on. What's the next thing we're considering? They wouldn't even discuss it. No, you'd just be blackballed. That I think that is an accurate assumption on your part of how these folks would do it. It is amazing. Any normal state, Republicans and Democrats, they understand university professors and tenure. It's exactly for that. So someone like you can have an opinion that might be unpopular or not what the politicians or even the LSU president wants to hear, but you can say it and you are protected to say it. That's the whole point of tenure.
If I can interrupt you, Corey, not only that, but it really wasn't my tenure that protects me from making the comment that I made on Twitter. It's the First Amendment.
Yes, of course.
And I say that because tenure does afford me a lot of protection, but any faculty member, untenured, anybody on this who works for LSU is entitled as a citizen of this country to say what they want about political issues in this state or in this country, and not be punished by the government, by a government agency,
right?
By LSU, which is a government agency, by the Attorney General. And so I always thought that what protected me more than my tenure was the First Amendment.
I totally agree with you, but I also think tenure was established about a century ago in the United States because people were circumventing that by, hey man, First Amendment's great, but he's disparaging our business. And, I think back then there was, where we are legally, and our interpretation of all that back then wasn't the same. And that's why tenure was established. But you're right. Tenure should be irrelevant. It's a First Amendment deal. I just find that mind blowing. I catch a lot of flack. I catch it from people I know that, Corey, my daughter went to LSU, dude. You always dogging LSU academics. She's doing just fine. That makes me want to drive my car into a tree. Yeah, doing just fine. That's that should be the motto. Louisiana, trying to do just fine. We don't want to excel. We don't want to be great. We don't want 110%. We don't want to win. We want to do just fine, maybe. It just...
Yeah, I believe... I've said for years that the motto of the state really should be Louisiana, good enough.
Yeah, I swear.
Good enough.
Mediocre effort. We're like the feather in Forrest Gump, just floating along where the wind blows us. No, it's worse because we proactively cut off our nose to spite our face. No, that's mind-boggling. So we have a governor that didn't like what a request to be fired. I think if this were a movie, it might be called Middleton Library movie, Bob. The name's different from fired professor speaking out. That's kind of lame. Middleton Library, you got to watch the whole movie to know what this is all about. Boy, the neglected library kind of got it rolling really for both of us. I mean, that Middleton Library is an embarrassment. I think the LSU football locker room is incredible, state of the art, better than the Saints. That library, I don't know. Where are we? North Korea, Russia? What is that?
Yeah, well, I did have a friend from Uruguay who told me that I should know that that the LSU library is better than what they have in her country, but that's not saying a lot, is it?
They don't have visqueen and buckets to collect the water, Bob. It just wrecks books.
Well, we can afford the visqueen and the buckets, I guess.
Yep, it's a big edge. No, I went in there about 3 years ago, and maybe 5 years ago, when I saw monitors with a back on them, like they weren't even flat screen. I was like, is it going to be the green IBM front? I was scared to look at the monitor. Is it color? Or it's just that green. And the furniture. And just, I was like, it's circa 1987. Like I'm still a student. No, and it's too many. I don't want to get into it. Ruin the cross architecture, the quad, all of it. It should have been gone years ago.
If you doubt the reality of time travel, if you don't believe in time travel, I invite you to come to the LSU campus and let me give you a tour of the 3rd and 4th floor of the LSU library.
Wow.
You will be transported back to the 1950s.
Robert Mann is with us, LSU journalism professor who has sent in his resignation. He will call it a day at the end of next semester, May of 2024. What, about 18, 19 years under your belt at LSU?
That'll be 18 years. Yep.
Hey, what does President Tate lack as far as being a viable university president in your mind?
Well, as I said, I think he's completely he's not committed to advancing the humanities on this campus. I mean, that's not even a matter of debate. He's abandoned the humanities, which is a big part of this university. But I think more than that, he has shown from the very beginning that he is very susceptible to the political winds that blow in this state. And for the 2 years that he's been here, he has been trimming his sails to accommodate the right wingers, the enemies of higher education down at the Capitol. I mean, he was supportive of efforts to study the future of tenure. Thought that was a great idea, and I don't believe he really believes in destroying tenure. I don't think that he's that extreme in his views of this. But he was willing to appease those people.
That's what I was.
And I think his commitment to defending his faculty is very suspect. I mean, people after this election need to hear from their president.
Yep.
They need to know that he's got our back. They need to know that this university has got our back. And it's been 48 hours since these election returns were in, and we've still heard nothing but silence out of this president and this board.
Yep.
And I think it's because they're scared of offending the new governor.
They are. They're not going to say anything. After my interview with President Tate, I kind of thought this guy's a lightweight. And I think probably his entire life has been about placating and appeasing those that can keep him in a position of power. Bob, one more segment. We're coming right back.
That's what I said. That's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here, and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's families, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring, and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. And now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets has daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, and their entire lunch menu is available too. Open 11 a.m. through 2:30 p.m. For the finest in Sicilian and Italian cuisine, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center. It's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof. Now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
LSU President William F. Tate IV and the entire LSU administration have consistently protected our faculty's right to pursue discoveries and truth free of influence and the freedom to voice their opinions. Professor Mann's choice to retire is a personal decision, and we extend our best wishes for his future endeavors. Doesn't sound like President Tate really cares if you stay or go, Bob.
No, I'm sure he's happy I'm leaving, and yeah, honestly, I'm fine with that. I'm leaving because I want to not be drawing a lot of fire from the new governor toward my unit, but also toward the university at large. So I'm sure he's happy, and he should be, because I'm going to make life a lot simpler for him. But let me just, his celebration may not last for long, because if he hasn't already, he's going to be forced to go bend the knee to Jeff Landry. I suspect he's already done that.
I think so too.
Yeah, but he will be bending the knee a lot to this governor, and it won't be a pleasant experience, I can tell you.
No, just like I said, going into that last break, just the 40 minutes I had, I was shocked. It reminded me of when I was a 19-year-old and went and worked at the Senate in Baton Rouge as an LSU student. I was a child. And when I went up there, I was like, God, these men aren't that smart. They're not leaders. They're like deviants. They're cheating on their wives. They're fixing tickets. I'm like, this is a joke. It was so disheartening. And when I had President Tate on, I was like, this is the president at LSU that came from South Carolina? Doesn't seem that intelligent. Seems really insecure. Accusing me, assuming, has no idea of what he's talking about. I'm counting what he's saying with 4 or 5 things to his 1. I mean, it was embarrassing. And I don't think, I know William Tate is a lightweight. I think people are discovering that in the LSU community. And I think he has appease. And I've had bosses like this. They appease and placate, and that's how they keep their position. And then ultimately they are discovered. But yeah, I would say everybody's in locks. Yeah, please.
We haven't talked about this since that interview that I know of, that I can recall. But I thought his treatment of you, his behavior on that interview was disgraceful and very much a discredit to our institution. And I was on, I don't speak for LSU. I'm not allowed to speak for LSU, but in this one occasion, I'm going to presume to speak for LSU and apologize to you on behalf of this university for how the president, who should be representing me, represented me, and it was poorly. And he should be ashamed. The whole LSU community should be ashamed how he spoke to you. And on behalf of LSU, I apologize for that.
Well, that's really nice of you, Bob. You don't have to do that because I know how you are and I know how we get along. And I'm class of 91. I'm LSU. It's not LSU. He's
a lot more LSU than he is, and always will be.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Bob. I really do. That means a lot. That's what I don't think people get about you sometimes. I think especially because you're liberal and a lot of conservative, they can't, that just like conservatives, there are people in the state that enemy. I love LSU football. Bob isn't in LSU football like it's because of academics. You love LSU. You love the football and everything. You're just exactly like me. We want academics to be as great as athletics. Why is that such a problem? Why is that wrong? Why is that not attainable? Why is excelling at sports achievable, but excelling at academics either not achievable or not important? I'm lost on that.
Because I think people who are supporters only of the sports, of the football side of the university, somehow have been told or have gotten the message that it's a zero-sum game. That if academics gets more funding, that it's going to come at the expense of athletics, and that's just not the case. And I don't know how they got that in their heads, but it's not one or the other. We can't have both. Other states have done it and are doing it. Other states that have economies that are worse off than ours have managed to figure it out. But somehow we have got this message that we got to choose. You can't have good football. You can have good football. You can have good academics, but you can't have both. It's sort of like you can only. We've also bought the message you can only have a clean air and water, or you can have jobs, but you can't have both.
Yeah, exactly. That is a great. That's so well said. It's a crock. So well said. Look at Tulane. Mike Pitts is like, man, we can make football great and it increases enrollment. It's free advertising for the academic side. We get more endowment money. We get more contributions. LSU doesn't use athletics to help academics. It's mind-blowing. It is a marketing tool there for the taking. Enrollment at LSU should be 50,000 students by now, the way athletics are so successful.
Well, and just a cheap plug for my new book, LSU, Kingfish U, Huey Long and LSU.
Yep.
I wrote a whole book about how Huey Long did that, about how Huey Long leveraged the success and the notoriety of the football team in the late 20s and early 30s to drastically increase the reputation and the enrollment and the funding of LSU on the academic side.
Bob, you're a mind reader. I was about to mention you've written, about a dozen books, including Huey Long and LSU, your latest and greatest, right?
9 books.
9 books. Yeah, I knew it was a bunch. That's a lot. How can folks get the Huey Long and LSU book?
Well, they can get it at any bookstore, or they can go on they want a signed copy, they can go to kingfishu.com.
Any final thoughts, Bob?
No, I cling to my hope that the people who run LSU will wake up and gather up some courage and make a strong statement this week that reassures the faculty that they have their back. And by the way, there's a lot of searches going on this campus. There's a lot of people from outside the state who are looking to come to LSU. And I think the leaders of this university need to reassure them too, that if they come here, they'll be protected.
Yeah, they'll be protected. Bob, I have a feeling from now until May, you are going to get a lot of vacuum cleaners as gifts. A lot of mini vacuum cleaners. I'm serious. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Bob. That's Bob Mann, LSU professor, joining us on the program. That guy loves LSU with all his heart. Wants LSU to be the best. That's all. That's all he wants. 5 o'clock powwow next.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson. On TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube. On radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers Breitling time, 5 p.m.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamarck team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamarck Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Help Paint, Help Paint, let us steer you right. Help Paint and Supply.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family-owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread.
The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Susan Spicer joining us on the program.
Even when they presented me the award, the people that I look up to the most, Frank was there and Donald Link was there. It does cause you to reflect back and think about your whole career.
Maybe the Ella Brennan Award says that to you, like I've arrived.
It certainly is kind of the ultimate honor when it comes to cooking and hospitality in New Orleans and the world.
New Orleans style talk gumbo, served daily.
Doesn't get much better than that, huh?
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you. The kisses are hers and his. Three's company too.
Self-defecating or self-deprecating? I think they're the same sometimes. Yeah, you right. How appropriate the Three's Company tune. Suzzane Somers passing away at 76. It is New Orleans, but we'll bring up Suzzane Somers, sex symbol, actor, folks that are, 45 plus, men especially, and women. Remember her, Three's Company, and a lot more. Suzzane Somers passing away at 76 years old from breast cancer, which she has suffered from breast cancer, literally getting it, beating it, getting it, beating it, getting it, beating it over and over again for like the last 40 plus years. Just seemed like a really sweet lady, a nice person, a giving person, cares about others, didn't get caught up in the fame and fortune, married for like 40 plus years, 50 years. Those successful Hollywood types are refreshing. You know, it's easy to say, if I was like that, I'd be nice, I'd be humble, I'd be whatever. But you don't know how you'd act. You don't know how you'd act. Hey, best quality, best price, best selection. It's got to be Rouse's Markets. Over 60 Rouse's. Over 20 in Metro New Orleans. That means like a third of all Rouse's locations in Metro New Orleans. Baton Rouge has, what is Baton Rouge? I want to say it's 9 Rouse's Markets in Baton Rouge. All over South Louisiana, Southern Mississippi, Southern Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, 6 Rouse's locations. Tastes like home, Rouse's Markets. There's one in your neighborhood or near your neighborhood, Rouse's Markets. Great weather day, as good as it gets, 50, 60, 70s all week long. Louisiana has a new governor, Jeff Landry. He picks up 52% of the vote, no runoff. 2,000 U.S. troops are preparing to be sent to be deployed to the Middle East. The Israel-Hamas war continues. Israel's troops about to invade Gaza. Rouse's Markets phone lines, 766-9480, area code 504-766-9480. Let's go to the Rouse's Markets phone lines. Pat joins us in New Orleans. What up, Pat?
Nothing much, Corey. I'm just trying to make sense of this Israel-Hamas collision that they're seemingly getting into. But I just want to first start off by saying that I've been talking to you for about the first time I heard you was when you were on Sports Talk in 870. And I tried my butt off to get a Drago's gift certificate, and I never managed to. And so talking to you is a little bittersweet, but it's all good.
Well, maybe I'll tighten you up with a $50 Woodhouse gift certificate, and you give it to your girlfriend, wife, sister, whatever.
Sure. Why not?
Well, I'll tell you, this Israeli-Hamas thing, Pat, goes back hundreds, thousands of years, 1,000 years. It is, it's not easy. It's sickening. It is, Palestinians aren't going anywhere. The Israelis aren't going anywhere. Two-state solution is the only way. You get Hamas and like Hezbollah with Lebanon. I'm Syrian Lebanese. I mean, these Iranian-backed terrorist organizations, you vote them in to represent you. It's just it's a crappy situation. There's nothing good about it. And I don't see any kind of, at least in the near future, any real solution.
I mean, I think there is a solution, and it really is simple. And as a Palestinian, I mean, I would like to focus on the solution, because these flare-ups that happen in the Middle East happen about every 3 or 4 years. And here we are on the streets of New Orleans, protesting. But there is a solution. All right, I totally disagree with the two-state solution, because for the Palestinians like me who were kicked out my parents rather, who were kicked out in 48.
Yep.
We were in West Jerusalem. And so now today we're not able to go back. But
for people that don't know, it's kind of insane. I mean, post World War II, basically the rest of the world's like, we're going to have a home for the Jews, and it's going to be where present day Palestine is. And literally 700,000 Palestinians were forced to leave. It was amazing.
It was actually more than that. It was actually 2.2 million, but that we could dispute those numbers all day. But at the end of the day, they were forced to leave through a series of massacres at a couple of villages, and which put a lot of Palestinians in fear, and a lot of them unfortunately migrated to Gaza for a safe haven. A lot of them went to the West Bank. But the majority of them went to Jordan, which, increased their population, and which obviously Jordan is 93% Palestinian, but that's another story. But I really want to focus on, and I was hoping to talk to you about the solution. I disagree basically with the two-state solution, because for the Palestinians, you're only getting 20% of what you originally had. Now, after we came to America, we were able to go back to Palestine or Israel, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But we were able to go to those places like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and all that. It was a free willy-nilly. You can go wherever you want. Granted, there was a little bit of animosity between the Jews of Europe and the Palestinians, but still, they were coexisting together. They were even going into each other's shops and whatnot. But now, the way it has it now, the two-state solution just is not viable, because you'll always have your neighboring enemy who will always be bitter for what he should have got, right? My solution is, or a lot of people's solution is rather, just having a one-state solution. It's really, really simple. For the Palestinians, you can offer the Israelis, hey, look, you're here to stay. And a lot of Palestinians on the West Bank have actually accepted the fact that Israel is not going anywhere. You can tell the Israelis, look, okay, we'll give you your security. No problem. We won't do these terrorist attacks, suicide bombings. We'll keep you guys. We won't attack you in any kind of form. All we want you to do is give us our equal and human rights. That is the most basic request that any human.
No, Pat, I hear you. I think the rest of the world would agree with you. The problem is each side ends up not sticking to their guns, or sadly they do stick to their guns. I mean, it sounds like a great, you're asking Israelis to unequivocally trust. You're asking Palestinians to unequivocally trust, and the extremes on each side never will unequivocally trust. And you're right. Ideally, a one-state solution, all living together, would be the best solution. But if you had a two-state solution, what would be you'd have Palestinians in Israel and vice versa. Israel's a much more modernized country than obviously Gaza and the West Bank, and we don't have to argue about why that is or the restrictions or whatever. But it would naturally end up being what you're saying anyway as a two-state. So, and you've got Arab citizens in Israel right now. No, it's just
Corey. I mean, and not to cut you off, but I mean, you can put mechanisms in place. There've been many scholars and academians that have basically said, look at Lebanon, for instance. Lebanon after the 70s was totally destroyed, but they changed their constitution to where down the line, all the political and elected leaders was exactly based on the population. For instance, the president of Lebanon rather, has to be a Christian, whereas the vice president has to be a Muslim. And so that way it secures opportunities for both sides to feel, okay, it's down the line, down the middle, equal for everyone. There is mechanisms in place, but at the end of the day, as a group, you have to ask yourself, how bad do we really want it? And
well, that's the thing. And Pat, here's the problem. The squeaky wheels, like in America, anywhere, the squeaky wheels, the loud voices, they get the cheese. And the extreme Palestinians want to have nothing to do with the Israelis, and the extreme Israelis want to have nothing to do with the Palestinians. So until you get those folks thinking in a more rational way, and then for you to assume that Palestinian and Israelis, generally speaking, don't want a two-state solution. I mean, I think I hear that more from reasonable Palestinians and Israelis than anything else. And we actually had a two-state solution about 30 years ago. It was basically done. Netanyahu was instrumental in squashing that. So were extreme Palestinians. So a problem, Pat, much bigger than us in this program and chatting about it. I appreciate the call. I like hearing from Palestinians. Corey Johnson with you, coming right back.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love. More. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Served in New Orleans' finest restaurants, Leidenheimer French bread.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NolaAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NolaAC.com, your cool spot.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, hey, what can I do to give you a hand? He said, well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place. So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
I mean, this is a pretty simple vanilla point. I'm not trying to say they're anywhere in the same category. Like, I'm a F-150 guy. Jason likes the Chevy Silverado. He's never buying a Ford. I'm a Ford F-150 guy. I'm never buying the Chevy. I mean, people can relate to that because that's how truck people are. Some aren't. Some bounce around brands. I saw a guy in my neighborhood had a GMC. Now he's got a Ram. Another guy had a Ford F-150. He's got a Tundra now. I see people do that, but then I see people that this is my 9th Silverado. This is my 13th F-150. I've had this Silverado 30 years. I've had this F-150 40 years, whatever. So you're not getting people off of that. Look at New Orleans and Jefferson Parish. If I suggested for efficiency and the betterment of the metro area, and I don't know how anyone could argue about this, more efficient, save taxpayer money, everyone wins. Consolidation of Orleans and Jefferson Parish public services, like the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Department and the NOPD become one unit. The RTA and JET become one transit authority. The fire departments of Gretna, Kenner, Jefferson, New Orleans, all one entity. It would be hard for me to find someone in Orleans Parish that wants to do anything with Jefferson Parish. It would be hard for me to find anyone in Jefferson Parish that wants to have anything to do with anyone in Orleans Parish. It's just like sort of self-fulfilling prophecy of defeat. Louisville annexed like 8 or 10 counties around Louisville and made it all one thing. Because they're like, it's Louisville. We're competing against other cities. In New Orleans, we compete against ourselves. In Louisiana, we compete against ourselves. It's all these fiefdoms and special interests and all that. So, I mean, I appreciate Tom's call. I'm not saying he's wrong at all. Tom might be right. Everything he said might be right on the money. This thing, this Israeli-Palestinian thing goes back 1,000+ years. The extremists simply do not acknowledge the other side. They don't want the other side to exist. Now, Hamas and the percentage of Palestinians that don't want Jews to exist, I would think, is greater than the percentage of Jews that don't want Arabs or Palestinians to exist. I don't know if, generally speaking, the Jewish population in Israel and the Middle East, we're surrounded by Arabs. Why would we be against Arabs? Or, and then maybe the Palestinians, like, these Jews are the only non-Arabs around here outside of the Persians in Iran. I don't know what the thinking or mentality is. Palestinians have been screwed around. The Jews are probably the most persecuted people on the planet Earth in the history of the planet, the history of humankind. But Palestinians have been screwed around. And then you have, Netanyahu. There was a reason before this war started, hundreds of thousands of Jews for the last few months have been taking to the streets in protest. They don't like this extreme right-wing Israeli government. They don't like the ideas of weakening the judicial branch and strengthening the legislative branch. They look at this as a power grab. And what's going on right now, a war unifies a country. Netanyahu enemies, liberals, left-wingers in Israel are all united with Netanyahu on the right side. And now, like in America, hey, we're going to implement the Patriot Act. I'm not saying we shouldn't have done that, but after a while, you get rid of these things when the war is over or things have settled down or things have changed or you've gotten rid of the enemy or whatever. Circumstances change. In Israel, I think once they go to this hardcore right, just like when you go hard left, it's hard to have those folks give up what they have and go back to how it should be. No, I worry for Israel becoming less democratic, more of a closed society, being less of a democracy. No, that Israel wasn't perfect and everybody on the same page before the war. War unifies countries. But Israel had protests going on for months and months. No, and I feel, Palestinians, you have 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. Hey, guys, move south. We're going to pretty much destroy the northern part of Gaza to get rid of Hamas. And then how do you fault the Jews for destroying Gaza? Because Hamas hides in residential areas, has headquarters in the middle of residential buildings. They literally use women and children as shields. This is just a nightmare. It really is. It's just a couple of groups, two groups that the extreme sides hate the other side and would like to see them gone, annihilated, disappear. Yeah, I don't see any other way but a two-state solution. The West Bank, Gaza, that needs to be Palestine, and the rest would be Israel. But the problem is when Gaza, full of Palestinians, Israel gives them democracy, the right to vote, they elect Hamas to represent them. That's a problem. That's a problem. If Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas elected a bunch of Nazis as leaders, I think that would be a problem for Louisiana. So if you're going to elect a bunch of, terrorist types to lead you, you're going to have problems with credibility. I have Palestinian friends in New Orleans. It's a drag. I bump into them and right away they're on the defensive because in America, we are pro-Israel, as we should be, but we should be pro-Palestine too. It's just an insanely painful, confusing situation. You can say one thing about how it should be, and then there are examples on both sides of folks either not wanting it that way or fighting like crazy to make sure it's not going to go that way. Just a terrible situation. No, folks that are like, sick of the United States, sick of America being the policeman of the world, someone else will take up that job. Someone else would take up that job. Iran would love to run the Middle East. China would love to run the Pacific. Russia would love to run Eastern Europe. So we don't protect Taiwan. China's invading Taiwan. And then where's China going from there? They're already building islands on reefs in the China Sea. Iran, we let Hamas take over Gaza and and Israel not retaliate. Then what's next for Hezbollah coming south into Israel from Lebanon? Don't help out Ukraine. Russia just takes over Ukraine, probably the whole country. Then it's these after the fact, hey, we had that wink handshake deal where NATO wouldn't expand. All these border countries on our border that have expanded, we're going to go invade them too. No, it's hard being America. Freedom's tough. It's not easy. Being the policeman of the world isn't easy, and it's not cheap. The alternative is worse. The alternative is letting one of our enemies police that area, and then they take over that area. They reap the benefits, the rewards, the money, the profits from that area. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon, 5 o'clock powwow. Brett Martel, another Martel Monday coming your way in a few minutes. Hey, television audience, you can continue watching The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson on YouTube. Cox Channel 4, Spectrum 333 viewers. Mañana, every day, 4 to 5:30. Statewide, we're on TV. If you're a Cox Television subscriber, 4 to 5:30, Cox Channel 4, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, statewide. Wherever Cox TV exists, we're there at 4. You charter television subscribers, a.k.a. Spectrum Channel 333, 4 to 5:30 weekdays, 90 minutes of fun. Yeah, when we call it a day on TV at 5:30, we're still rolling for 30 more minutes till 6 p.m. on radio. Oh, so fine, 93.9 FM. We're still rolling till 6 p.m. via the website, KaareTalks.com. Corey spelled Kaare, KaareTalks.com. Boy, does he. And our YouTube channel, The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson. Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We had Bob Mann on, I shouldn't say former, he's still an LSU professor till May. We had him on the program in the 4 o'clock hour. I think you'll want to listen to that. Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. I talk about American freedom. It's tough. First Amendment's tough. We have to give David Dork and his Nazi group of losers the right to speak. The right to speak. We have to give any extreme group, left or right, no matter what they think, no matter what they believe, the freedom to speak, the right to protest, no matter how crazy, no matter how insane it is. People that we despise, that we dislike from the bottom of our heart, that we think are pure evil, in America, they have the right to speak, the right to protest. So when someone like Bob Mann complains about LSU and a politician like Jeff Landry calls William Tate the president and wants Bob Mann reprimanded or fired because he didn't like what he had to say, that's a problem in a bunch of ways. In a simple way, Jeff Landry doesn't have a thick skin. This is the governor, and he can't handle criticism from a professor at a university. He's got major problems. Shouldn't have gotten in the political arena if he can't handle the criticism. And then second, he wants to control someone's freedom of speech. It's just wrong on so many levels. But folks that lack empathy, that only see their side, it works fine. It works fine. It's like Dick Cheney, the former vice president, homophobic, anti-gay his whole life. Then he discovers his daughter is a lesbian and is still homophobic and anti-gay and disassociates with his own daughter. And then as he becomes older and more vulnerable to, death and the end of his life, he has a wake-up moment and is like, wow, this is my daughter. Maybe her being a lesbian isn't a choice or a lifestyle. It's actually who she is, and she's my daughter. So he embraced her. No, folks that lack empathy, it's like, I don't think a punch to the face hurts. Then you get punched in the face, you're like, oh, wow, it does hurt. I understand now. Literally need to get punched in the face. Has to have his lesbian daughter in his face for him to accept it. To change his mind that it's not a choice. It's not a lifestyle decision. No, that's another problem with this governor. Lacks empathy, only sees his side. This guy is cut out of the Edwin Edwards, John Ilario cloth, out for himself. out for himself. We have no chance of moving Louisiana and New Orleans forward, competing with other states, competing with other cities with Jeff Landry as governor. It's just not possible. Doesn't have the leadership skills, the smarts, has no idea what the real problems are in Louisiana, and has absolutely no idea, if he knew what they were, how to solve them, how to fix them. None. What's going to happen with Jeff Landry? It's going to be like Edwin Edwards and John Alario. Every 6 months or so, we're going to hear of some scam or gimmick where Landry or his brother, family or friends, have some connection that at the very least is unethical, immoral, wrong, and most likely criminal, setting themselves up. We've already seen it with Jeff Landry. Already seen it with this guy, Harvey Marine Board, pulling 1,000, 1,500 a week, doing nothing. Wouldn't you like it 1,000 to 1,500 extra a week? Some people are like, dude, I don't make 1,000, 1,500 a week. Jeff Landry gets it doing nothing. And then Jeff Landry and his brother with this staffing agency in Lake Charles, where they supply the liquefied natural gas industry with employees. Why them? Because he was the AG and he had the connection. And him and his dopey brother set up this company. And, you know, the conservative patriot wrap himself in the flag. Of course, he's going to hire these Louisiana workers that desperately need the work and are qualified to do the job and want the job. No, they're greedy. The hiring the Louisiana workers and making a big profit on a position, a company, the staffing agency they shouldn't have had in the first place, wasn't enough. They import Mexican workers because this conservative American flag, America first, is a pile of crap. It's how Jeff Landry gets elected. The dollars override that clearly. And it's proof with that staffing agency bringing in Mexican workers. Work them longer, work them harder, less breaks, less benefits. It's all about more profits. No, I mean, if you think Jeff Landry, our future governor, has integrity, ethics, and morals, then I hear you. Go for it. Good for you. All I can say is with great confidence that New Orleans and Louisiana will continue to suffer. Got over 2 years left of LaToya the Destroyer Cantrell. Impossible for anything good to come to New Orleans with her at the controls. Impossible. It would be in spite of her. I'm not saying something good couldn't happen, but she is not going to do it. And if anything keeps it from happening, people, that's the leadership they run. And Jeff Landry is going to have the exact same effect. Soon we're going to be passing these goofy laws that do nothing to benefit us. Don't put money in our pocket. Don't help our kids' education. Doesn't improve infrastructure. Doesn't create jobs. I don't know. That's what's important to me. Well, what about you? What's important to you? Crime, education, infrastructure, economy, jobs. I mean, none of that's going to improve. It'll be the opposite. It'll be some goofy law that restricts, freedom to some particular group, black, lesbian, gay, something, and it will keep a Super Bowl from coming, or a Final Four will leave New Orleans, or something like that. That's pretty much guaranteed. Hey, Young's Dry Cleaning, it's pretty much guaranteed. They're going to do you right. I've been going to Young's Dry Cleaning for about 25 years plus. I probably have brought, if you count every shirt, pair of pants, whatever, a few thousand items in and out of Young's Dry Cleaning. My personal stuff. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 times where, wow, there was a button missing and you guys didn't replace the button. This collar really didn't come out ironed right. I don't know if I can wear this shirt. Thousands and thousands and thousands of items brought to Young's Dry Cleaning over the last 25 plus years. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 where I was like, they didn't do this right. And then you just bring it to Young's and of course they make it right. But it is a rarity. Yeah, they make mistakes like anyone, but it is a super rarity. Maybe you're tired of your dry cleaner. Maybe it's like every other order, there's a button missing or the collar's not ironed right or how did they miss this and you can't wear that and you have to bring it back and all that. If you're tired of your dry cleaner and you want to experience the best, youngsdrycleaning.com, a New Orleans institution since 1940, youngsdrycleaning.com. Corey Johnson with you. What an incredible weather day. Hard to get any better than this, as good as it gets. 50s, 60s, 70s, all week. Incredible. Louisiana has a new governor. It's Jeff Landry. 2,000 U.S. troops told to prepare to deploy to the Middle East. Not to go into Gaza or even Israel, but maybe to assist other countries, Jordan, Egypt, in humanitarian aid for the 2 million Palestinians heading south in Gaza that are going to desperately need it, that desperately need it right now. This is a humanitarian crisis now. And of course, a war. Suzzane Somers passing away at 76, breast cancer. Sad. Bob Mann, former LSU professor, joined us in the 4 o'clock hour. Pretty interesting stuff. You'll want to check that out on YouTube, Anchor, iTunes, Spotify. Lots of ways to check that out. That was around 4:20 till 5 o'clock. Bob Mann, LSU journalism professor, resigning or retiring, sending in his resignation letter, this tenured professor. He'll call it a day in May after this semester and next semester are done. Lebanon's Cafe closed tomorrow. Closed on Tuesdays. Serving dinner tonight till 9:30. They open Wednesday through Monday, 11 a.m. till 9:30 at night. How about some outdoor dining tonight? Under the green awning, under the oak trees. The weather's perfect. Outdoor dining tonight. Lamb chop, shish kebab, Middle Eastern sides. Lebanon's Cafe.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore led us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center. It's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof. Now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
You're listening to The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Cotton Bowl winning coach Willie Fritz joining us on the program. Have you ever been part of a game that great?
A lot of things happen in the game. You just don't know the script. You got to adapt and improvise. You just got to keep playing hard the whole time. And our guys did an excellent job of that.
How big is yesterday for the overall future of the program?
You got to have a guy who really have a burning desire to get a quality education and also be a great football player. You got to talk. Well, I appreciate taking it. I try. Tickets and you stay. I try to make some people happy.
That's Willie Fritz.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Roll wave.
The spirit of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground.
For us, it's about the relationship. Right design process of a made piece. As if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we passed and started.
Leidenheimer Baking Company. Producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, same time-honored process. Baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate set. French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop for over 25 years. New Orleans' own Leidenheimer. It's at Katie's in Mid-City. A place to dinner and check out Monday Night Football on the big screen. Looking for a family place? Looking for a place to go with adults and have some drinks? Katie's in Mid-City. They got it, something for everybody. They really do. They got it all. It is the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant. New Orleans specialties, old school. Lunch and dinner Monday through Saturday, brunch on Sunday. They're open throughout the day, full of New Orleans characters. You'll love it. Katie's in Mid-City. Tonight for Monday Night Football, Katie's in Mid-City with all the big screen TVs and all those New Orleans delicacies. Katie's in Mid-City. Speaking of football, big football weekend. The Green Wave picking up a nice road win coming from behind at Memphis. They move into the top 25. LSU, a big, big win over Auburn, controlling Auburn, putting up some insane offensive numbers yet again. Jaden Daniels in the Heisman talk. LSU can win out, win the SEC West somehow, get into that SEC championship game, have a big major bowl. New Year's Day Bowl. Jaden Daniels has a great game. Heisman would already be decided by then, but you get the point. Jaden Daniels and LSU cruise, and Daniels keeps putting up numbers. Who knows? Saints, a painful loss yesterday. Pels are getting ready to start their season for real, not this preseason stuff. Brett Martel joins us. 25 years with the AP. It's another Martel Monday. Oh, my bad. Casper the Ghost joins us. What up, Casper? What? You're a ghost and I can't hear you. All right. Thought we had Brett. My bad. He's calling us back. Oh, sorry. Jason, I think you said all that and I was not listening to you. Oh. Don't throw that at me, Jason. That's wet and nasty. Don't pull that out the garbage can and throw that, the tea bag and the coffee filter thing at me. Don't you do it. Don't throw the dip can at me. Brett Martel, a few minutes away. A great weather day, huh? As good as it gets. 50s, 60s, and 70s all week long. Some, you right weather. We will be back up to like 80, like maybe 80 by the weekend, but that's about it. So that's some pretty good stuff. Yeah, it is. Every night I go home and instead of watching like entertaining stuff, I watch, flip around and watch Israeli-Hamas war stuff. And then it wears you out after a while. And then they're kind of looping stuff, which is fine. I get it. And then I end up starting to watch entertainment stuff. But I used to just sort of watch a little bit of news. And then, if something was interesting, I'd watch. If nothing going on, I'd be into the entertainment mode. But now I'm into at least a good hour every night. I mean, I have like a rule. I don't turn on my TV unless something huge is happening until like I get home from after work. I don't like it on in the morning. I don't like it on in the day. Just a distraction I don't need. But I'll get home. I'll pop that bad boy on right away. Check out what's going on in Israel with the Palestinians and the Israelis. Brett Martel joins us. Another Martel Monday. Brett, 25 plus years with the AP. How's it going, Brett?
Great, Kaare. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, how can folks get the AP app or find your articles, your columns on the AP?
Yeah, they can go to apnews.com on a computer or laptop, or they can get the AP News app, which is free for a smartphone, and it'll, give you up-to-date reports from all over the world, including unfortunately Gaza and Israel.
Brett, what did you do today work-wise? Were you in Baton Rouge? Were you covering like some Saints? What were you doing?
I was covering the post-mortem for the Saints.
All right. Well,
squandered opportunity.
Let's start in a positive way and go in chronological order. How about that?
Okay.
ESPN, nationwide television audience. I love the standalone Friday game for Tulane. Yeah, just great for recruiting, great for the program. They go up early, 10-zip. Then what, Brett? They're down 17-10. And then they rip off 21 straight. On the road at Memphis. Go up, go down, and then rip off 21 straight for a nice, decisive win on the road. Vaults them to 5-1, puts them back in the top 25. That's what a good college football team does, Brett. I'm not talking about going behind after you're ahead, but being able to rip off 21 straight and take care of business.
Right. I mean, that was a gut check, because, look, we've watched Tulane football for a long time, you even longer than me, and I can't ever remember them going up to Memphis since 1998 and not getting absolutely blown out of the place. You know what I mean? It's usually not even close when they go up there. They won in 1998. They beat everybody that year. But, since then, and I moved here actually in 1999, so I didn't even see that game. And when they went up early, I said, okay, this is probably going to be different. And they went behind, and I said, okay, now it's gut check time. We'll see if they fall back into the same psychological pattern of, pressing and making mistakes and allowing the home team to get that momentum and energy from the crowd and kind of keep them at bay. And they didn't. What they did is they stepped up and they adjusted on defense and they snuffed out or stifled Memphis's offense and continued to march down the field for themselves. Yeah. And won impressively, and the voters noticed, the AP Top 25 voters, I mean. And so now they come to a sold-out homecoming game against North Texas, back in the top 25. And I had said earlier, if they do go up to Memphis and win, they might not lose again. You can't guarantee they'll run the table, but it's set up for them now to run the table and get back into a New Year's Day bowl game.
Unreal.
2 years in a row.
That's incredible. No, it really is.
Yeah.
And the Wave is just a few games away from winning 20 in 2 years, which they've never done in the history of the football program. So Willie Fritz and the Wave, they're making waves. They're making history. Indoor bubble coming soon. The Troy Dannen move to Washington. It wasn't like Green Wave fans were like thanking him too much. It's sort of a catch-22, I guess, Brett. Three things. One, he hired Willie Fritz. He got football on the map. You have to give him credit there. Two, hasn't had a lot of success in any of the other sports. And three, for some reason, Tulane fans had a sour taste in their mouth about Troy Dannen.
Well, the main reason I think they had a sour taste in their mouth about him, I don't think anybody blames him for taking that job. But it's a little jarring when he just in the middle of a season takes off like that. And then he went on the radio locally in Seattle, right? And he said something, he probably didn't mean it the way he said it, but the way he said it sounded terrible. He said, I love Tulane, but you can't win a national championship there.
Yeah.
And that makes it seem like when he was out soliciting hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars from big-time donors to Tulane, for Tulane athletics, right, to get facilities fixed up or expanded or improved or built or whatever.
Right.
Was he lying?
Well, plus, I mean, if I'm Washington, Brett, I'm like, why is this guy bashing Tulane instead of just praising us? He praised us. He said he can win a title here. Why knock your old place? Like, what does that have to do with us, Washington? Like, part of the reason you came here is because your old job, you couldn't win there? What's that got to do with us, Troy, as Washington? So, as Washington, I would be kind of a little upset about that. And Troy Dannen, I mean, I used to get him on the program all the time. Now he's like not even returning texts, just doesn't want to deal with it. Whatever. I mean, a lot of people don't want to deal with me, Brett.
Well, it's a little weird, but I mean, you might be able to relate. I think he just put his foot in his mouth. You know?
Yep. No, but besides that, I think for some Tulane fans, that just showed what they've always thought. I mean, some of the posts on Twitter, it's like, we never liked him. Opportunist, all this stuff. I didn't realize there was that much venom for the guy before the comment even. Like someone like, glad to see you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just a loud minority, though.
Maybe so.
I mean, look, what he should have said, which would have been true, is, you know, I saw a lot of potential in Tulane for it to be better, and I believe and I hope that I left it better than I found it.
Exactly.
And what an exciting new opportunity at Washington, where it's a time program that's going into the Big Ten.
Yeah. It shows some class.
Right. And a new challenge for me. As much as I love Tulane, I welcome it. I welcome
exactly
that a lot of people do in their lives.
No,
and that's what Washington. So he didn't have to say you can't win a championship there, and I want to win a championship. Come on,
No, it was class without the CL. That's what he was on that one. Hey, LSU Auburn, not a problem. Boy, Jaden Daniels just tearing it up, huh, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, basically every time I write about LSU, I'm writing about how great he is. I mean, in terms of covering games, because he's always a standout performer. So, I mean, you go into that game with Hugh Freeze saying if he's not in the Heisman Trophy conversation, there's a problem.
Yep.
Because he doesn't even look like he's running fast, and he's pulling away from everybody every time he scrambles. And then when he's not running, he's throwing really long, accurate passes to fantastic receivers for enormous gains and pivotal touchdowns, which is what we've seen a lot of.
Yep.
I mean, he is as exciting to me as look, I'm not saying he's better than Joe Burrow. What Joe Burrow did may never be done again.
It'll never be done again.
But he is. I mean, just from watching, the kind of plays he makes, and especially these improvisational plays. I mean, they're just unbelievable. Some of them.
No, they really are.
So,
and when I say I don't think Joe Burrow will be ever done again, I don't know how an SEC quarterback can average a touchdown a quarter over 15 games. I just don't see how that is humanly possible. It's sort of like the Eli Manning, Drew Brees 13 touchdown game. We'll never see that again for the rest of our lives. Hey, Brett, we don't have much time left. The Saints
the worst for last.
No, what's that?
The worst for last.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Saints are really frustrating right now. Like, to me, they were the better team than the Texans, but the Texans are the better team and won the game. The Saints, I don't know what it is. There's something missing. They're not pulling the trigger when they need to. I don't know what it is. They seem to have enough talent to be better than 500. The only blessing, once again, the NFC South seems to be weak.
Right. Yeah, the NFC South is just a gift that keeps on giving. I mean, they're 3-3. They're a half game out. They've got 11 games to go. They're totally in it. They would have been in first place if they had won by percentage points. But look, I mean, they outgained Houston 400 and something to 200. They gave up fewer than 300 yards. I mean, they gave up fewer than 21 points for the 14th time in 16 games defensively, even though they had a rough first half. They shut them down in the second half, only allowed a field goal. Look, the rookie kicker has a lot of potential. He could be a great one, but unfortunately, he missed two, and they were very costly. One of them was from 52 yards, and he didn't miss by that much.
No, he just pushed it a little.
He completely shanked.
Yep.
Yeah, completely pulled and shanked the other one.
Pushed one and pulled the other. Yep. Sounds like my
golf
golf
game.
game.
Was like one of my hooks off the tee box.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Just, right into the
trying to compensate.
Into the water.
hey, Brett, about 30. No, we'll wrap it up because we got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, look, they clearly have the talent to win. They should have won yesterday. They shot themselves in the foot. But, you can't blame the kicker because that overlooks the fact that they only had scored eight offensive touchdowns in 6 games.
Yep.
Right? I mean, they've had one return one interception return, one punt return. They scored 8 offensive touchdowns. And the defense has only given up 8 touchdowns all season.
Yep.
So, it's, they're close. But they need to do better in the red zone.
There's Blue Boy. He's saying, thank you, Brett, and we'll talk some Pels maybe next week. That's Brett Martel from the Associated Press, another Martel Monday. I'm Corey Johnson. See you mañana right here, 4 p.m. Be there.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 6 p.m.